Hello, Aries, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of December 21st through the 27th. And during that time, we will have a waxing crescent moon, which is a time of heightened senses, a time to really put to use the good work that we've started on our new moon cycle and just kind of begin to watch those things, come to fruition. We have the first quarter, of course, that comes in on the 27th. And a first quarter is when we feel a little bit impulsive and impatient, maybe a little bit active, kind of hard to buckle down, but just make sure you get through those times. Also, Merry Christmas. That comes this week, of course, on the 25th. So make sure you get out and we'll look at that astrological alignment. It is beautiful around this time of year. So if you do that, the solstice is the 21st. I love to look at the alignments. If you have clear skies, it's just a great time of year to get out and watch the story that unfolds in the stars. So let's get right into this reading, Aries. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter this week. So as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is a time for healing. All right. So, yeah, I hope you're having a lovely holiday season. I know sometimes it can feel like, oh, let's get through this. I try not to, over the years, especially raising 4 kids, I try not to let myself get overwhelmed. I feel like when your kids are younger, it's so much work, and it gets a little easier, as everybody ages, gets a little bit older. So, we've got some cards flying out for you already, Aries, but just make sure that you're taking time to really rest and relax and just really enjoy the season for yourself this year. All right, we'll get into this reading. Aries, December 21st through the 27th. Your overall present energy is awesome because it is about your family with wealth and security and long-term longevity here with the 10 of Pentacles. So, this is really showing, the generations. We've got the grandfather here and the younger couple, and you can even see the baby peeking around the corner there. The dogs, everybody's happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And, that's work that we are doing. If you're building a family, or have built a family, it's not only about the financial things, but it's also about, the morality that you're passing on and the traditions that you're passing on, all of those things that make family a family that aren't really just about all these pentacles, not just about the material things, but it's the other things that you're passing on. And that's beautiful. That's really what that card is about. Your current situation is thinking about the future here a little bit with the Two of Wands, which it is kind of, here we are at that time of year where we start to think about, what changes, things we might want to do for the upcoming year, those resolutions that we might want to make, changes and things. So that's not at all unusual to be thinking about the future in that way at this time of year. At the root of your situation this week is the Knight of Wands. So some sort of action on the passion front, something that you're doing that is something you just love to do. And maybe it is the holidays. Some people kind of dread them, but some really love having company, friends, family around, cooking, doing those sorts of things for others. And if that's you, you will definitely be in your glory this week at Christmas time. In your recent past is the King of Wands. So you're coming into this energy feeling very logical, very kind of just on top of your intellect, feeling like you've had a good year in the way of learning and also communicating things very, very clearly this year. And that's not a bad energy. Also, what is on your mind is feeling a little bit stuck with something here with the Eight of Swords. So there might be some situation where you're feeling a little tense, like you have to be very careful where you step, but just don't forget that the whole point of this card is that you can think your way out of anything, right? This is kind of, how did you get here? Think your way out. Maybe you've gotten yourself in some little bind of some sort. It could be just some words, maybe a miscommunication or something that just needs to be straightened up. Of course, that is air energy. So, again, communication, it could be just your way of thinking, but remember that you've thought your way into this and you can think your way out of it as well. All right, what is just ahead of you this week is a little bit of celebration here with the Four of Wands. So this is, a lot of times this is our wedding card, but it's a card of celebration. This is about gathering. This is being with friends and family. Being joyful, gathering together, sharing time together. So that's definitely ahead of you this week, and that's a lot of fun. That's ahead for a lot of folks this week. In your advice position is the Four of Cups. So it looks like, don't allow yourself to be dissatisfied with something that the universe offers you. Because this is in your advice position, it may be your inkling to feel a little bit dissatisfied about something, and let's try to get over it this time of year. Also, I want you to look up angel number 44, which is really funny because I remember when I pulled this four out, I looked up at my camera here and it said 444, and that's a number that's near and dear to me. I see fours everywhere, so I wasn't really shocked. But yeah, here's a 44, and I saw that number pop up earlier for you also. So look up the meaning of not only the four, but 44 and 44, all of those series of numbers. And if you're seeing those, that is kind of a big awakening time. And I've been through that one as well. I feel like there's different awakenings. And especially when it comes to numerology right now, I'm in a three phase where I see threes and 33s, and I see those everywhere. So I'm trying to work that out and what exactly the universe is trying to telling me with that specific synchronicity. But I do still continue to see the fours. I feel like each of those is a different sort of awakening. All right. What is beyond your control this week is the Emperor with another four. So, again, look up all the iterations of four because I think that might be something that's very important to you for this week. But beyond your control is that you're going to feel in control, feel like a leader, possibly the leader of your family, someone who is really good at building things, just making things happen, and just you're like the epitome of stability, and it's really beyond your control this week to be that. All right, let's look at what is your secret desire or what you're trying to avoid is the Eight of Wands here. So is it your secret desire for things to come in very quickly and rapidly, or are you trying to not let that happen? And I'm getting the feeling, sometimes with the holidays, you do, for me, I feel like, oh, it's over. So it's like you have to really take a breath and really enjoy the moment and let it unfold, but really take time to enjoy that time and don't let it get away from you. Like I said, with four kids, and now they're all partnered up, and we've got one grandchild, so things tend to happen very quickly. And all of a sudden, yeah, everyone's leaving, and the holiday's over, and I hate that part, because it seems like it goes way too quickly, and you're trying to spend one-on-one time with everybody. So just make sure you're trying to do that, and just make sure to stop and just enjoy the company of others. In your outcome this week, Aries, is the Six of Swords. So moving on to the future here in a very calm manner. That's almost that feeling I feel like after Christmas, when it's that week right before New Year's, and everything's kind of done. I feel like there's always, the fridge is stocked, there's not a whole lot to do, and you just kind of get to relax and do that thinking about the future. What are you going to do this year? What changes would you like to make this year? It's kind of the big version of the new start that we get with the new moon, every cycle. With the new year, it's just a bigger thing, and you're thinking about bigger things that you might want to do, but you're moving very calmly into that future and thinking about what that future might hold for you. All right, what is hidden from you this week is the Chariot. So we're not thinking about any big moves that we're trying to make right now. We're just kind of getting through the day by day. There's a lot of wands in this reading. You're kind of evenly spread out. I would look again at 444. See if that means anything for you this week, because it very well might. Again, that's a number that's very important to me. I see it everywhere, and it's a time for healing for you. So whatever it is that you are going through that you do need to heal up, make sure that you are taking that time to do so. Take a little time for yourself to really rest and relax a little bit this week. I know the holidays can get a little crazy, but I'm sure you'll have some moments where you can just take for it yourself. All right, overall message here from the Soul Oracle deck: find your backbone. So this could be something where, did you need to speak up or say something there with that Eight of Swords? Is there something where normally you might be quiet, where you might just want to speak up and defend yourself a little bit, Aries? So think about that. And what do you need to do in the way of self-care this week, Aries? Self-care for Aries, and the card that you get is the card called Pamper. Self-care is a necessity, not a luxury. So, yeah, make sure that you do, excuse me, pamper yourself a little bit this week. I know one of my favorite bubble baths is Christmas Day or the days after because I always get these beautiful bath items and things smell delicious and lovely. And it's the best bubble bath of the year with all those items. So keep that in mind, Aries. I wish you the best on this Christmas. I hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas. I hope something in this reading, where you were able to take away and use this week. And that's about it. That's all I want to say to you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you have been, if not, please subscribe. It does really help me. And I would appreciate that so much. That would be a great Christmas gift for me to have you as my subscriber. So thanks so much, Aries. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.